Hi, this is Annie Lupton of Boho Chic Fiber Co. Today I'm going to show you how to work a tubular cast-on in the round. I use this in my pom-pom crop sweater for the cast-on edge for the bottom edge of the sweater. A tubular cast-on allows you to have a nicely finished edge for your ribbing, and it gives it a stretchier edge, and it just kind of, the knit stitches will curve over. It gives it more of a finished look, and it holds up better over time as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. You're going to need your needles, your working yarn, and some waste yarn. I'm using this purple color as my waste yarn. And when you're working this in the pattern, or if you're just learning how to do it, this is actually for in the round, but it's a little difficult to show with my camera here. So I'm going to show it to you flat. What I'm going to do when I get to an end of a row, I'm just going to push it back and loop the yarn around the back so that it's as if I was working in the round. And I think that should be pretty easy to see. But just know that you're going to be working it in the round. So what you're going to do first is you're actually casting on your stitches with your waste yarn. I like to use a different color because then it stands out. It's a little bit easier to see. And this is a method that I learned from Brooklyn Tweed Patterns. I know there are different ways to do a tubular cast on. This is just the way that I prefer, and so I thought I would share this with you today. So what you're going to do is you're going to cast on the indicated number of stitches into your yarn, and then you're going to take your working yarn and you're actually going to knit into all these stitches. So join this yarn and you're going to knit across the stitches. And that I call the foundation row. So for the next round, we're going to be doing an increase round. I slid my yarn back over to the right hand side. So now what you're going to do your increases, you're going to knit one, and then you're going to pull up this little running thread from the previous row, and you're going to purl that. And then you're going to knit the next stitch. I'm trying to show that to you a little bit clearer. So you're going to have this running thread across. You're going to insert your needle from front to back into that running thread. Pull the yarn to the front of your work and purl into that. Knit one. Again, you might have to do some moving of your fingers to get that thread there. Insert from front to back with the left hand needle. Pull the yarn to the front, and you're going to purl that stitch. And when you're working in the round, you're going to have, you're going to be looping, so the last stitch you'll be able to pull one up. I'm just going to pull it up from here just so that I can have the right number of stitches on my needle to show you how to do it. So what you'll have after that is a knit stitch, a pulled up stitch, a knit stitch, a pulled up stitch, all the way across. So you've doubled the number of stitches on your needle that you originally had. So after the increase round, you're going to work the first tubular round. In my pattern it's called round 2, so it's a tubular round. So you're going to knit the first stitch, and then you're going to bring the yarn to the front of your work and slip that stitch purlwise. Knit one, bring the yarn to the front and slip that stitch purlwise. You do that all the way around. Slide it back down, or if you're in the round, you'll just get to the beginning of your round again. And we're going to do the opposite of what we just did. So we're going to slip the knit stitch this time, but with the yarn in the back of our work. Bring the yarn to the front, and you're going to purl that next stitch. Going to knit one, we're going to slip the knit stitch, bring the yarn to the front, and purl. Slip the knit stitch, the yarn in the back, bring the yarn to the front, and purl all the way around. If you're working in 1x1 ribbing, then you will be able to just continue from this point on and doing knit 1, purl 1. But we want to reorient our stitches because we are working a 2x2 ribbing. So in order to do that, we're going to have to reorient them. So it's nice to have an extra needle that you can use as like a cable needle handy. So to do that, you're going to slip the first stitch, which is a knit stitch, to your working needle. You're going to slip the next stitch, a purl stitch, to a cable needle and hold that in the back of your work. And then you're going to slip the next stitch again, which is a knit, to the right hand needle. So now we have 2 knits, and then we'll slip the stitch from our cable needle back onto our right hand needle. So we have 2 knits and a purl, and then you're going to slip the next 2 stitches, a purl and a knit. So now we have knit 2, purl 2, knit 1. And then we're going to take that next purl stitch and hold it with a cable needle in the back of our work, slip a knit stitch. So now we have knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and then slip that cable needle stitch back on. And then you're going to slip 2 stitches again, and you're just going to keep, it'll say it in the pattern as well, you're just going to keep working, slipping stitches so that you have 2 knits and 2 purls all the way around. And you're not doing anything into it, you're not knitting or purling at all, you're just using the needles to switch them around. So now we're to a knit 2, purl 2 setup. We have 2 more tubular rounds to work. So we're going to do it just as we did it in the beginning, where we were knitting and slipping some stitches. So first you're going to knit 2 knit stitches, bring the yarn to the front of the work, slip the 2 purl stitches with the yarn in the front, bring it to the back, knit 2, bring the yarn to the front, slip 2. And we have 1 more tubular round to work. So now we're going to, just like we did in the beginning with the 1x1, we're going to do it with the 2x2, but the opposite again. So we're going to slip our knit stitches with the yarn in the back, bring the yarn to the front of our work, and purl those stitches. Slip the knit stitches, purl the purl stitches. So now we are all set up and we're done with our tubular rounds, and from this point on we're just going to continue working knit 2, purl 2 ribbing as we normally would do. Knitting 2, purling 2. We don't have to worry about slipping or purling anymore, and you're just going to keep going and ribbing to the indicated length in the pattern. So as you're doing this, you'll see we still have our waste yarn on the bottom. I like to make sure you have a little bit of length here, at least an inch or so, but at some point you're going to want to cut this off. You could even wait until you're completely done with the sweater. It's up to you. But if you kind of pull it open and separate it, you can see how there are these little bars in between. So that's a really good place to snip. What you want to do is take your scissors and very carefully just insert into that one little part there. Make sure that you don't have any of the working yarn. You do not want to cut that. That would be a big problem. So just very carefully insert it into those bars that run across with the waste yarn and snip. I like to do it every other one usually is enough. And you can remove that yarn just very carefully. You'll remove that yarn so that now you'll have that nice tubular edging and it loops around. And that's as simple as it is. So if you have any questions about how to work that cast on, feel free to leave me a message in the comments below. I'd be happy to try to answer your questions. Again, that is going to be worked in the round. We're working the bottom edge here in the round, but it was just easier for me to show it flat. So hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. So feel free to leave me a comment below or send me an email and I can help clarify anything if you need it. And if there's any other techniques or things about the pattern or other patterns of mine that you have a question about, feel free to email me as well and I'd be happy to make another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.